Greetings and welcome to the Inner Mileage channel. I'm a transformational coach at Inner Mileage focused on helping individuals optimize and transform their lives from a less desirable state to an optimum desirable state. And today I want to talk a little bit about narcissistic personality disorder, what it is, how it happens, and how people get trapped in the cycle with people who are narcissists. So first of all, narcissism is something that exists in all humans. And narcissism can't be traced to Narcissus. You've probably heard the story of this person who went to a waterfront and then looked at their image in the mirror and said, "Oh, look at me. I can see me." In many ways, the first image reflection of what a human looks like outside a human's peripheral vision or direct line of vision. And in many ways, most of us have images of ourselves, perspectives of ourselves, self-concepts that dictate how we show up. So narcissism is pretty normal and pervasive. Now, there's a big difference between narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. Now, the narcissistic personality disorder exists in the person who has an outsized, melodramatic sense of self that is rooted in a false persona designed to trick, manipulate, control, and dominate other people. In fact, it's not only limited to tricking, manipulating, and dominating other people, it also includes destroying other people. And the reason why a narcissist becomes a narcissist is because, like all humans, we all go through substantial trauma. But the traumatic effect that happens to a narcissist is very particular. Usually, a narcissist comes from environments where there is significant domestic strife, alcoholism, drug abuse, and regardless of socioeconomic conditions. In fact, is as prevalent in low-income communities as it is in middle, upper, and higher income communities. And so your background does not matter. What matters is that there is the existence of generational trauma in the household, and the kind of trauma that is debilitating and destroys a person. So the narcissist is a child, started off as a child who needed affirmation, love, adoration, and never got this through normal means because of the abuse that existed, or because one or both of their parents are narcissists as well, or very much inclined to have a narcissistic personality disorder, NPD for short. And so this child who is neglected, abused, forgotten, begins to realize that the way to get the attention of their parents is to become grandiose or manipulative and covert, because there are different strands and types of narcissists, from the very malignant, obvious, overt narcissist to the very covert, malignant narcissists, both of whom I've had experiences with in my own personal life, in marriages, family relationships, friendships, work relationships, and so forth. But coming back to the point, the narcissist begins to realize that the only way I can get the attention of my parents or caregivers or authority figures is to demand attention at all costs. So the narcissist begins to develop this attitude of extreme behaviors that are designed to get attention. Whether the attention is negative or positive is immaterial. That the narcissist or the damaged child gets attention is all that matters. And this creates a loop in this child where they realize that, wow, the only way I can get what I want from the people around me is to manipulate them through my actions and behaviors. And they begin to form this perspective that the whole world is as such a world to be manipulated, tricked, and deceived. And so they refine these skills. And by the way, the narcissist is a very intelligent person. They have the same abilities as an empath: great intuition, great insight, some self-awareness. The difference is the badly damaged, therefore they use his intuitive abilities to damage and destroy. And they leave a trail of dead bodies, metaphorically and physically speaking, because they themselves are dead inside. This is the state of the narcissist. So this child that learns that they need to become a manipulator realizes, well, just like the way patterns form, this is the way I get attention and what I want. So they refine these skills and they become even better at courting attention at all costs, whether it's speaking loudly, being the life of the party, lying, cheating, learning how to gossip, manipulate people with gossip, use smear campaigns, blame people for the same things that they do and act as if it's the other person's fault, gaslighting, future faking. These are all terms you can look up for more understanding. This is the bane of the narcissist. And the reason the narcissist does this to other people is to dominate them by inflicting pain. And the reason why the narcissist needs to inflict pain is because they themselves live in perpetual misery and pain. So you have to imagine this, that in life, we as humans, as we engage with other people, can only give what we have. So if I'm an angry person within, then my disposition with other people, even if I smile, is to transmit that energy of anger. Similarly, if I'm a sad person, I transmit that. If I'm a disappointed person, I transmit that. If I'm a fearful person, I transmit that. If I'm a happy person, I transmit that. If I was manipulated and subject to narcissistic abuse and become that, then I transmit that also. But the genius around narcissistic abuse is that it's done in a multi-pronged approach that it's very difficult to realize it's happening when it's happening. Because as I mentioned earlier, the narcissist has extreme IQ and extremely high IQ, and if not that, they're very perceptive and very intelligent. So they're very good at studying people, being aware of people, not because they want to be empathetic, but because they learn and study people so they can manipulate them to suit their own purposes, which is to feel better and superior to others, mainly because they feel greatly inferior and damaged compared to others. In fact, the narcissist lives in a world of misery, envy, jealousy, depression, and darkness all the time. And this is why they want to do these things to people, especially targeting people who have an empathic nature, because the empath provides something called narcissistic supply to the narcissist. A narcissistic supply is simply empathy, good energy, and all the positive attributes that the empath has that the entity within the narcissist requires. And when you read all the academic journals on narcissistic personality, narcissistic abuse, you realize that there are only 3 solutions to dealing with the narcissist, and that's where psychology stops. Effectively, the 3 strategies that the psychologists propose are: 1, something called no contact, if you can afford that. In other words, no communication. Or 2, what is called the yellow rock, which is mild personality and engagement, but really sharp boundaries. Or gray rock, which is limiting all communication to yes/no communication. And you realize that there is no real defined treatment for narcissistic personality disorder from the psychological perspective, unless the narcissist decides to go into therapy or coaching or counseling. So this family confirms that the narcissistic personality disorder is a psychological disorder, but it goes beyond psychological disorders into becoming one of a spiritual disorder. And it's a spiritual disorder because of the damage that narcissists inflict on their many, many, many victims. And so if you have had the fortune of surviving narcissistic abuse, whether it's within a family system, whether it's your parents, whether it's your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your children, your cousins, your neighbors, whatever it is, realize that you had these experiences not because there's something wrong with you, but because you have an empathic nature that the narcissistic person can sense and thrives on. Again, as I said, there's a lot of psychological explanations in the academic studies for what this is, but they stop short of going into full panaceas for narcissistic personality disorders, because there isn't a clear one showing that it's really a psychologically inclined spiritual affliction. Let us know what your experience has been with narcissistic abuse, how you overcame it, how you transcended it, what your story is. Sadly, I'm a survivor of extreme narcissistic abuse from many people I was close with. And I'd like to hear your experiences, how you overcame it, what your strategies were, what sort of things you did, what it did to you, how it shifted you, how it transformed you, how it pushed you to your ultimate purpose, or how it damaged you and how you've recovered from it. Either way, if you've come through and exited a narcissistic relationship, a narcissistic family, narcissistic friendships, narcissistic jobs, and so forth, I want to hear from you. That this affliction is more pervasive than we realize. Of course, the word narcissistic abuse is bandied around because there's a bit more consciousness around it, and sometimes it's ascribed to situations where there isn't real narcissism. But if you've been in a toxic relationship with this back and forth dynamic, then you survived the greatest test you ever will experience. And I want you to know that there's absolutely no one like you. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.